once the opportunity arose for him to close the show, he did it in emphatic style.
Whatever he hits falls.
This is KUGAN CASSIUS for iFall TV in association with MTK Global. We're at the final press conference here for the show from the Royal Albert Hall this week, live on BT Sport, headlined by Daniel Dubois and Ebenezer Tete.
Ebenezer.
Bit of a geezer.
Yeah.
How are you, first of all, Frank?
I'm good. A little bit of a sore throat, but other than that, okay.
Yeah, the weather's turned now, isn't it?
When you get old, it gets in your bones and you ache and you creak. You know.
You're not walking around with a stick yet, so you're doing all right.
I've got a bath chair outside. They carry me around.
We love these shows at the Royal Albert Hall.
Yep,
Kind of when you're there, it's like it's well, there isn't a place like it in the world, is there?
No, they're on posh York Hall. They're all on top of each other. It's a great venue to watch boxing in. Not a bad seat, and if you get the right fight in there, you get a fantastic atmosphere.
Another test for Daniel Dubois.
Yep.
So far, so good for him. Obviously, massively shone in his acid test against Nathan Gorman last time out, but now he's challenging for the Commonwealth title. So again, you've made a big point of we want every belt for him, and this is the next step.
This is the next one for him. This is the guy he's got to fight to win it, and you know, he comes in Ebenezer with quite a reputation as a puncher. So we will see. Our man's a big puncher. And you can't take, as I keep saying, anything for granted with these big guys. You know, one big punch can turn a fight. A couple of weeks ago, a week ago, we were in Vegas, and one punch changed the dynamic of the fight between Tyson and Wallin. Wallin cut him, not once but twice, all that blood, and that changed how the fight, how Tyson had to fight.
I think there's obviously, you've also stated that there is no rush with Daniel. He's so young, and he seems to have done quite a bit in kind of not that many fights.
Look, I when I signed him, I made a beeline. He only had 7 senior bouts as an amateur, and I loved what I see. I knew what he's capable of. He just excited me as a heavyweight boxer, as a fighter. I think he's the best young heavyweight at this stage of his career that I've been involved with, and I've been around for a while. And I think we've made the right matches. But at the end of the day, in the ring, you've got to go and deliver and do the business. And he's done the business in great style in the ring. He's a quality heavyweight. I think he's the best young heavyweight not in Britain. I think in the world. I think he's the best young heavyweight out there. And this fight for him is another fight that he's up for. The other guy's going to be up for it as well, but he's up for it, and if he comes through this one, then it's onwards and upwards.
I saw some quotes from you that if he comes through Saturday night, then you would look for the Joe Joyce fight at some point.
Well, look, Joe, and you can't blame Joe. Joe's got at the moment has been nominated for the European. The guy who was going to fight vacated rather than fight him.
He's gone to Top Rank now as well.
Yeah, but he vacated the European title. Let's get it right. He didn't fight Joe, so that's how I look at it. You know, he might have gone to Top Rank, but he didn't want to fight Joe Joyce. So Joe's there now, and he'll fight for the European. We're trying to find out who they're going to put in. So I don't know.
So that hasn't been decided yet.
Not to my knowledge, unless it happened without sneaks it past without telling me. But so Joe's going to fight again before the end of the year. Daniel comes through. Hopefully he will as well. Whether they fight each other next, I doubt that. But certainly next year they will. It's got to happen. It's a big fight that's got to happen. And I don't want to say anybody saying we duck out and making the fights, because we don't. We always make the fights for our guys. We've done it with Nathan and Daniel fought each other, and that's another big fight that could happen next year.
Will we see Nathan Gorman out this year again?
I hope so. Spoke to him. He's obviously spent some time with his family, his new baby he's got. Hopefully he'll be on the same show and make it a big night of heavyweight boxing.
Just want to touch on some of the other fights on the card this week. Probably the pick'em fights out of all of the undercard fights is a great fight between Archie Sharp and Declan Geraghty.
It's a cracker, isn't it?
Yeah.
That could steal the evening.
Yeah.
It's a good fight. It's one I'm looking forward to. And there's we had a good show the other week on St. Mike Tyson's show in Vegas at York Hall. There's some cracking fights on there, and I think that's another one that's going to be up there with those good quality fights that we put together. Because we're all about delivering for the British fans, British boxing for the British fans. That's what we're about.
Nicola Adams, it's first defence.
Yeah, she you know.
of her world title that she was, without saying this, she was handed it, but now that wasn't down to anything to do with her, obviously.
No,
it's the rules.
the other girl's not available, so that she, been out of action for quite a while. It's happened with a few fighters over the years. Nathan Cleverly was the same. There's a few fighters been in that position. But now she's got to defend it. She's defending her title. Be a tough fight. She's been inactive. Now hopefully she comes through, and she's got to start getting some momentum in her career. She's got to start moving forward now.
What's the reason for her inactivity, Frank? Nicola?
Some personal stuff and other things, but the fact of the matter is, that's what's happened. She moved to the States. I believe that if you're a British fighter, certainly at this stage of your career, the early stage of your career, you need to be in Britain. You need to be seen. You need to be accessible to the fans and to the press. And if you're abroad, that's not happening. So it's different for Tyson. He's made his name. He's been a world champion. He's done it. So he's building his profile up in the States. That I get, but you need to work here. This is where it counts. And then if you're going to move on to the bigger platform, when you talk about, going to, for example, to the US, where they've got a massive pay-per-view market where you can maximise your income. I understand all that, but this stage of the game, you've got to maximise what you can in your own country, and hopefully Nicola comes through this fight and we can get some momentum going for her.
It's been roughly a week and a half after the events in Las Vegas with Tyson Fury. Have you spoken to him recently, Frank? How's his cut at the moment?
I spoke to him a few times. Yesterday, when he spoke to me, I spoke to him yesterday morning. He just had his stitches taken out, and he said it was all good and well. He said he was happy, spending a lot of time with his family, chilling out, which is what he should do. He's been in a gym now for 14 months solid, training, and he needs a break from boxing. He needs to let his body relax, and as much as and I suppose he's worried about putting weight on again and so forth, but he just needs to just tick over, forget about gym, that regime, go and have some quality time, as we discussed, with his family, and that's what he's doing.
What happened in Las Vegas? How, like a week and a half on, is it too early to say whether it will affect that proposed date in February for the Wilder fight?
You're not going to know about that. The doctor said that the cuts were not difficult cuts as far as the healing process is concerned. They weren't jagged or anything. They were pretty straight lacerations. And he's had the stitch. I haven't seen it, but he said yes. I said, he said, okay, it's time. Time's a healer. And you're going to wait sort of 6 to 7 weeks and then see how it looks. By then, if the fight's on in February, remember the other guy's got to come through on the 23rd?
23rd. Do you know why that hasn't been announced yet, Frank? The fight with Ortiz and Wilder?
I have no idea. I mean, they're doing whatever they've got to do. But hopefully they will announce it soon, and then provided he comes through his fight okay and Tyson's eye's okay, then we go on in February. That's the intention. And he's got to, but it won't go on if his eye's not right. It's not about the fight being in February, it's about the preparation, it's about the sparring. Will it be okay for him to spar leading up to the fight? I mean, if the fight's, say, if it is on the 22nd of February, then he won't do any serious sparring until after Christmas, the New Year.
So it's still a possibility for February then?
Oh yeah, if it heals, but it's all about how it heals, and ridiculous for me to say any different. I'm just fingers crossed. I'm quite an optimist that it will be okay. But time will tell. One thing's for sure, which no matter what anyone says, if it ain't right, then I'm going to advise him not to fight. If it's not right.
Yeah. What are the chances of him having another fight before that Wilder fight? Is there a possibility? None.
None. Not unless the fight gets pushed right back.
Yeah.
Then that would be a different scenario. But none. Okay. What would you want to take that risk for? It's pointless.
Okay. You've got Josh Warrington coming up next month, defending his title. So we know what to expect from those lead shows, Frank.
Well, it's going to be atmospheric. His fans, who are great fans, are going to get behind him. He's fighting the highest available contender in the IBF rankings. Like I keep saying to everybody, don't take anything for granted anymore. You can't do it. We've seen so many things happen. This guy, he's fighting. He's there for a reason. He's got a fairly good record, and Josh has got to be top of his game. He's training like he's training for a unification. So you're going to get a tip-top Josh Warrington in there. His dad Sean's doing a great job with him, and hopefully, you know, he does the business, and then we'll look at what we can do for next year for him regarding making a unification.
Obviously, I think Kid Galahad is in a situation where
I mean, well, look,
he's in a situation. I think he's got a final eliminator.
how can he coming up with a loss and he's got a final eliminator, ranked number 7? I mean, I don't even want to go there. Let them get on with that. I mean, do we want to inflict that again on the public? I don't want to be inflicting that on the public. It's you know, we're looking for bigger fish than that's if he wins, he's eliminated. We're looking for bigger fish to fry than that. You know, going to win a world title in the other guy's backyard, it's not about, you know, throwing a punch and holding on. It's about, you know, going out and trying and winning it. So anyway, I don't even contemplate that at the moment. We're looking for Josh and, as I say, for bigger and better things.
What about Carl Frampton? Are we going to see him at some point this year?
He you know, unfortunately got injured. I'm hearing that he'll be ready to fight sometime in November. Fingers crossed.
Yeah, one of the most bizarre injuries we've ever heard of. He just couldn't make it up.
This year, you know, all the upsets and different things that have gone on. It's like, you know, nothing surprises you. I'm you know, at my age, I get surprised all the time.
53.
53, 48. Don't take liberties.
Frank, have you spoke to Anthony Yarde recently?
I spoke to him over the weekend. He was going to come to football with me on Sunday, but he had some food poisoning, so he couldn't make it. I spoke to him. He was in quite good spirits. He's obviously disappointed in, you know, what happened with the fight, but he's in quite good spirits, and he's going away. When he comes back, we'll sit down, and then we want to try and get him out before the end of the year.
I saw some comments that you said that you were going to kind of have a serious discussion with him and Tunde. Has that happened already?
No, it hasn't, because he I can't remember. He was going away. I don't know why he got postponed for whatever reason, but no, we're doing that when we come back, and we sit down and we're going to have a talk with the team, and, you know, talk about the future and the fight. That's what you do. I mean, it was a big fight. It was.
Profile's gone up considerably.
Of course it has. He's come out to fight with a lot of kudos. You know, I think he could have won it, but it didn't happen. And you know, he was like 10 seconds away from glory. But anyway, we sit down and we'll have a chat, all of us, and then work out what the next move is.
What are your thoughts on Kovalev now fighting Canelo, Frank?
Well, it's a big fight for him, and why shouldn't he fight him? It's a big money fight for Kovalev. Anthony's shown the way to beat him. Be interested to see how Canelo is at that weight, so we'll see. But it's a fight I'll watch that fight. I'm interested in that fight.
Frank, there's on Thursday, Nigel Benn is expected to make an announcement regarding a comeback at the age of, I believe, 54 or 55 years old. What are your thoughts on that, Frank?
Well, I like Nigel. Obviously, I promoted him at the start of his career, and he had his last fight with me. He shouldn't be fighting. You know, he's doing it for a reason, and it seems in this day and age, all these things are happening. You know, people who are not boxers are fighting each other and so forth, and that's the world we live in. He shouldn't be fighting. No, he shouldn't do it, and I wish he wouldn't do it. I don't think that's in his best interest, and it's dangerous when you're a young man, let alone when you're at that age. He's fit, listen, he keeps himself fit, and he's a sensible guy. I just wish he weren't doing it. But he won't get licensed by the ball, you know.
Licensed by Bieber. So
Bieber?
Yeah.
Who's Bieber? Oh,
I think it was the old Malta Commission.
Oh, right, okay. I've got no idea.
I believe so, anyway.
All right, whatever.
But yeah, it's
not about whoever likes it. I've shown him why I'm even going into that. It shouldn't be happening. Nigel, don't do it. I don't want you to do it, mate. I really do not want to see you doing that.
Something missing there for him to obviously want to do that after such
maybe
a long gap?
I don't know what it is. I mean, he made a lot of money. Hopefully he's still got it. I don't know if it's that. I don't know what it is. Or, you know, sometimes boxers need to be protected from themselves. You know, another one who goes under the radar is Danny Williams. You know.
He's not still fighting, is he?
No, I thought he had one. Yeah, he had a fight only a few months ago, didn't he? Somewhere abroad. I don't know where it was. But they're guys who need to be protected from themselves.
So whose job is that then, Frank?
Sorry?
Because obviously the board, I read some comments where Robert Smith said that Nigel did approach them and it was a straight no straight away.
Well,
but then
it's a no,
there's other avenues that they can go to have fights.
And that is where you've got a situation where it's so disjointed, the boxing, where you can go off and that's called democracy. You can go off and do it elsewhere. And there are people who do it, but everybody involved should know better. Listen, no one can tell me about the dangers, because I did it when I was young. I promoted that stuff. I didn't know any different. I learnt very quickly. It's dangerous and it's wrong. It's not good for it. It's not good for the guys to be doing it. Some people are addicted to things. They're addicted to the training. They're addicted to the glory. You know, they think they're missing something. It's missing something out of their life. Maybe they're missing the love of the public, even though the public love them for what they did. There's all various reasons, but they should be protected from themselves. It's a great shame.
So Frank, obviously we're kind of coming towards the end of September now, 3 months left in the year. I'm assuming obviously you've got more shows to announce that will lead up to us till Christmas.
We've got, obviously we're up in Leeds. We're doing a couple of shows in November, a show in December, and then we'll be done for the year. You know, a couple of big shows.
You spoke about potentially doing one at the Copper Box. Is that still going to materialise?
That's still in the pipeline. We're just looking at the dates at the moment and marrying up, and a lot of depends what happens this week. This on Friday night with Daniel. See what happens.
I'm assuming Joe Joyce will have one of these dates in London.
He certainly will. Yeah, I want to keep Joe busy. You know, he's he needs to be busy, and he wants to be, and he wants. You know, we're working desperately to get a good opponent for him.
Did anything materialise from the talks about Jarrell Miller potentially fighting Joe?
Well, he's not licensed yet, is he? You know, I'd love to do that if he's licensed. If he's not licensed, then you can't do it. If he gets a licence, that would be something we'd look at. I mean, he called him out, didn't he, Jarrell Miller? Yeah. It's not a problem to make, not a problem for the fight if he wants it, but he's got to be licensed. And if he's not licensed, then it ain't going to happen.
Okay. Anything else you can tell us, Frank, about life?
Really?
Any advice you want to give the viewers about life?
Don't take my advice on life. Live your own lives and learn from your own mistakes.
Still standing, Frank?
Just what I'm sitting at the moment. Still trying to be. Yeah, we keep moving forward, keep working hard, and keep doing what we enjoy doing. You know, me at Queensbury, we love developing and bringing these guys through and putting these shows on for our subscribers on BT and for the general public. British boxing, British boxing at its best. Bringing these guys through.
Were you pleased with the numbers that Fury and Otto Walling done? I
don't know what the numbers are at the moment. Look, let's cut through it all. Going into the fight, no one gave Walling an earthly. He was a big underdog, and it weren't for a title or anything. It was what it was. But unfortunately, because of the sums of monies that had to be paid to the boxers, it became a pay-per-view event. Which is a bit out of my control, but it is what it is. And I'm quite sure at the end of the day, they're okay and pleased with what the numbers are when they get them. But the most important thing is that Tyson's built in his profile and got through a very difficult fight in the States, hampered by a terrible cut which obviously affected his performance as being a Tyson Fury at his best.
Frank, are you going to do anything with Tommy Fury? Because you promote him.
Yeah, we got a promotional agreement. Yeah, I met with his dad and him before I went away. And funny thing, we've got a meeting this afternoon with BT, and we're going to talk about what we're going to do.
That should be quite interesting.
Yeah, it should be. But remember, he's only had 2 fights. Yeah. So again, it's not going to be throwing him in the deep end. I wouldn't let that happen. But I want to see him out again. And he said he wants to fight. We had a meeting, so we've got to try and make that happen.
Would you have ever gone on Love Island, Frank?
I created it. I'm on Love Island all the time. Love Island. God, could you imagine? Leave me alone. Yeah. Now,
never say never, Frank.
Never say. Well, you
they could do a promoter's Love Island.
Could you reckon? A loving. Could you imagine?
I've already got 6 people that would definitely I'd put on there.
Who would you put on there?
I'd put you.
Yeah.
I'd put Aaron.
Yeah.
I'd put Barry and Eddie, both of them.
Yeah.
I'd probably put Callis Howland in there.
Yeah.
I'd put Lou DeBella in there as well.
Yeah.
Anyone else you can add?
If you can get somebody to get me a pair of earmuffs, because all that racket going on with that lot would do my ears in.
Frank, well,
could you imagine? And no food, and you've got to make your own way. You've got to really do it. You've got to do it.
You've got to hunt for your food.
Oh, could you imagine? We'll be cannibals.
Who would you go for first? Actually, don't
Who would I go for?
Don't
I can think of a couple I wouldn't eat. You might do them in, but you wouldn't.
Thank you very much for talking to
pleasure,
IFL TV, and look forward to press conference today. And obviously, yeah, Royal Albert Hall. Tune in this week live Friday night from the Royal Albert Hall
On BT.
on BT.
Don't miss it.
Thank you very much, mate.
Cheers, mate.
The opportunity arose for him to close the show, and he did it in emphatic style.
Whatever he hits falls.